So in this video, we're going to look at the basics of setting up a product. So we're going to just look at the basic information we need to put in and what we need to do to get that product live on our website. Okay, we'll do separate videos to deal with images, upsell, cross-sell and related products, and also stock control as well. So in this video, this is the basics for most product types. Okay, so there are actually 6 product types within the Magento system. We're just going to look at the simple product type, and again we'll have separate videos for each of the additional product types. So firstly, we're going to add a product. To do that, I go to the Manage Products under Catalog, and over in the right hand corner here you can see there's Add Product. So we're going to select that option. Okay, so we get asked what attribute set the product exists in, and in this case we're going to set the product to be in the attribute set Accessories, and it asks us the product type. So the product type in this case, you can see there's 6 different product types. We're just going to go with the simple product type and continue. Okay, so what that's done there is by asking those 2 questions, what attribute set and what type of product it is, it knows when it then goes to create the product what questions it needs to ask here in all of these tabs and down here. So these are all the attributes of the product. So that question, those 2 questions there, dictated what was going on here. So the first thing you can see is there's a selection of tabs down here. Okay, there's quite a few of them. We're not going to go through every single one in this particular video, but all of them will be covered at some point in some of the help videos. So currently we're in the General tab, and then when we're in the General tab, you can see that there's a list of questions. Okay, so these are questions about the product. Now looking here, we've got something like the name of the product, and you can see there's a red asterisk there. That red asterisk means that it needs a value against this particular attribute. So we need to fill in this information before we can save the product. Now, an interesting thing to do when you're first doing this, and maybe to get used to the fact that there are certain elements that you need to fill in, is if I try and save this product by hitting save and continue here, it actually highlights strongly all the fields that are required. So it does say this is a required field. And also it shows tabs where there are required fields in there. So you can see here that there's some, in prices, there is some tabs that we need to also fill in. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to go in and fill in this information. So firstly, we need to give our product a name. So I've got a product that I've created already called Mage Training USB Power Bank. And we shall put that in as the name of the product. Okay, so this is going to be quite prominent on the site. So when the customer lands on that product page, that'll be the name of the product that they see. So we put in a description. So the description is short description. The description appears on the product page and is the main description of the product. We also have a short description that sometimes isn't used, but in most themes it is, and that will appear in the product information block, and also sometimes on the product category page, depending again on your theme. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill in this information. Okay, so you may notice that there is this button here, which is WYSIWYG Editor. WYSIWYG stands for what you see is what you get, and it allows you to manipulate the descriptions and actually do some things that you could do in word processors, like making it bold, maybe changing the font size, that kind of thing. I'm not going to go through that at this moment. Okay, we'll discuss that in the content management. We'll discuss the WYSIWYG in much more detail. So I've just gone for plain text at this moment in time. Right, the SKU of the product. The SKU is the stock unit. Okay, that's what SKU stands for, and it has to be unique for every single product. It also makes sense that this SKU matches the stock units that you, or the product IDs that you have for your products anyway. So in this case, I'm just going to put in a SKU of USB 1. Okay. Then we come to the next tab, which is weight. And weight indicates how much does the product weigh. Now, you might not be bothered about how much the product weighs, and you might not want to put this information in here, and that's fine. You could just put in 0 in there. The reason weight is in there is because one of the shipping methods that we have on the system is ship by weight. So it will then calculate all the products that are in the customer's basket, add up the weight, and then allow them to and then allow the shipping method to work out what the actual cost of the shipping will be. So if you do know what the weight of the product is, you might want to put it in here. So how much you put in is entirely up to you, but you just need to be consistent. So if you work in grams, you might want to put in 100 grams here to indicate that the product is 100 grams. If you work in kilos, the equivalent might be 0.1 kilo. Okay, the important thing is here that every product is measured in the same way. Right, again, I'm just continuing looking at the fields that we have to put in at this moment in time. So then we have a status for the product, and there's only two statuses. It's either enabled or disabled. Disabled is the master status of the product. If the product is disabled, there's absolutely no way a customer will see this product on the front end of the site. Okay, if it's enabled, there's still other ways of hiding the product, which you'll see in a moment, but the customer could technically still purchase this product. So disabled just completely means it's not available on the front end of the site. It's also a useful status to have for a product while you're building it. So while you're going through this process, maybe keep it disabled until you're happy you've filled in all your fields, and then you can hit enabled. I'm going to set it to enabled just because we're doing this as a training exercise. Okay, so then we move down to the next tab, which is prices, and we have to put a price in for the product. All right, so let's put a price in of I'll say £5.99. Now the price here, in the way that this particular setup is configured, is that this is the price that the customer will see on the front end of the site. So this is the price that the customer will pay, and the tax will be worked out in reverse. However, that configuration can be changed, and it can be that the price you put in here is the price that the customer will pay before VAT, and then the VAT gets added on as part of the checkout process. Going down further, we have down here what tax class the product is in. Okay, so none, taxable goods, or shipping. Okay, it probably in most cases your product is going to be taxable goods, but obviously there might be scenarios where it is none, and we'll deal with tax in a separate video. So I'm going to select taxable goods there. Now at this point I have now entered values in all of the fields that are required fields, okay? And what I'd advise you to do when you're setting up products is fill in those fields first, and then hit this button here, which is save and continue. And what save and continue will do will leave you on this page, and but it will save the settings so far. So you can continue editing, but you've saved up to where you're at. So I hit save and continue. Okay, give it a moment. Okay, so I now have a message here saying that the product's been saved. Great. If I go back to the Manage Products page, you can see now that product is actually in our product grid there. Right, and to edit that, I just click on the product again and it goes back into edit mode. Okay, so that's enough to get the product actually registered in the system, but it's still not showing on the front end of our website. So what we want to do now is we want to actually get this product live just so we can see it. It's not complete yet, but we want to see it on the front end of the site. So firstly, there's like a checklist that you need to go through. So the first part of the checklist is to check that the status of the product is enabled. So yes, it is. We also want to check that the visibility of the product is catalog and search. Okay, if you look at the different visibility options there, catalog and search means that it's visible in the front end catalog, and it's also will be found if someone did a search for it using the quick search or the advanced search on the front end as well. Okay, the next tab we're interested in is this one here, which is the inventory. Now, how this works will depend on how you've set your store up in the configuration, but this current configuration requires that we have a stock level against the product. Okay, so maybe I'll go in and say that there's 10 items of this particular product in stock. And I also need to assign what the stock availability of this is. Now, I'm not going to go too much in detail in the inventory part at the moment because we will do a separate video on that. But just be mindful that you need to be aware of this. One of the other options you've got is to override the stock options and say that this product is not managed by stock. Okay, and in which case it just ignores all stock control rules. But I will set it so it is managed by stock. Right, we also need to go and check what category the product's in. Okay, so we need to make sure the product is in a category. So I've put it into the men's categories there. You can assign a product to multiple categories, so it could be seen in multiple categories. We'll just leave it in the men's at the moment. In addition, if you had a multi-store website or a multi-website installation of Magento, you would also have one more tick box that you would need to tick. And that is this one here. This is on a different store, which is a multi-store site, and it's got this option here, which is websites. So if you've only got one website on your store, you won't see this option. But here you choose which website you want that particular product to appear in. Okay, let's go back to our original product though. Right, so if I save this and now go to the front end of my website and have a look in the men's category, you can see that we have a product in here. I click through on the product, we can have a look at the details. So you can see there's the product name, there's the price, there's the short description, and here is the long description.